Okay.
Can everyone on Zoom hear me? Just wave. Nobody's waving.
Oh, Jennifer just waved.
Okay. Okay. Commissioner Freed is on Zoom now, and she has another meeting directly after this meeting. So we are going to kind of forego the beginning of our meeting, and so that we can hear her speak. And I want to thank her for coming. I'm going to introduce her. Nicole Heather Freed was born in 1977. Haha, I just told your age. An American lawyer and politician who has served as the 12th Florida Commissioner of Agriculture since 2019, yeah, 2019. A member of the Democratic Party, Freed graduated from the University of Florida in 2003. She had previous she practiced various forms, I can't even read my own handwriting, of law, including corporate law, foreclosure defense, and a public defender. She has also been a prominent lobbyist, as we all know, for the marijuana industry in the state of Florida. Freed is the first woman to be elected to the position and was the only Democrat to win a statewide race in Florida in the 2018 elections. The one thing that stood out the most about Nikki Freed when I was reading her bio is that after graduating, Freed worked at a law firm of Holland and Knight in Jacksonville, alongside of Ashley Moody, a friend of Freed at the University of Florida. I was really surprised with that, Commissioner, and I would like to hear why you should be the governor. So take it away. You have to unmute.
Yep. Well, thank you so much for having me here tonight, and thank you for all that you all do. Without the work that goes into our clubs and to our caucuses and to the people that are on the ground, I wouldn't be here. But you all, not only do you organize, you get on the ground, you do persuasive door knocking and letter writing and calling. And so I'm just so grateful to be given this opportunity to serve as your 12th Commissioner of Agriculture. You heard a little bit about my bio. But the one thing that you can't read on a piece of paper is kind of why I do what I do and what motivates me every single day to wake up and fight for what we believe is in the best interest of the people of our state. And it comes back to how I was raised. My mom is a diehard Democrat. She was a teacher for 25 years, taught the 3- and 4-year-olds. So I heard very early on that you have to mold our children young, and you have to make sure that we are taking them and embracing education at a very young age. And my mom always taught me that who a child is at 4 is who they are at 44. And so at 44 years old, as you just told my age, I'm hoping that my mom is, staying true to that I'm the same girl that I was when I was 4 years old. And my dad, on the other hand, he's a diehard Republican. So we don't judge, but we do a lot of pray for him. But I was taught in a household that you learn to kind of talk to both sides, and you come up with compromise and figuring out how to go forward together. But the one thing that they did agree upon was something that I was taught from them in my Jewish faith, which is tikkun olam, to heal the world. And those lessons, and that is what has been ingrained in me for my entire life, from my time when I was doing Habitat for Humanity and soup kitchens and community service activities in high school, to my time at the University of Florida, where I was the first female student body president in almost 2 decades, and another old boy network, as is the University of Florida and as is agriculture, and was able to break through a lot of glass ceilings and create a very diverse cabinet and leadership inside of UF. And then you heard my legal profession background. But in 2018, I got frustrated. I spent 8 years up in Tallahassee, walking the halls, fighting for things, not just medical marijuana expansion, but representing Broward School Board. So fighting for public education. And still to this day, my greatest accomplishment was for an organization that was the voice of our foster care kids in Tallahassee. We were able to pass a piece of legislation that gave children in our foster care system who has a right to counsel for those that are in special needs. And we were able to secure about $4.5 million to fund the program. One of my greatest accomplishments. And still to this day, I have the piece of legislation framed in my office, and I sit and it's on my back wall. So when I'm sitting at my desk, I'm always constantly watching to see and looking at it to remind me every day why I do what I do, because those kids have no idea the work that went into that or what was able to get accomplished. But I know that I'm saving kids every day in our system. And I love being Commissioner of Agriculture. It has been 3.5 years of being able to do a lot of really good for our state, cleaning up the concealed weapons program. For 3.5 years, we've been able to not only kick the NRA out of my office, but really make sure that everybody has got a complete and thorough background check. And then we also came in and we legalized hemp in our state. For so many of our farmers, including in your neck of the woods, are growing hemp now. 25,000 acres are under grow, 12,000 jobs, over $380 to $400 million of economic impact. We did that. We did that and are giving people an alternative to the marijuana plant to grow, to be part of this green industry. And the third thing that was a really big accomplishment was we revamped our water program inside the Department of Agriculture. All those things I was able to accomplish inside my department because you were with me in 2018 and got us over the finish line. And then I've been sitting in the cabinet for 3.5 years, taking on this guy, because another thing my parents taught me is you stand up against bullies. And that is what I have been doing for 3.5 years. And what he has been doing to our state, creating divisiveness for the sake of doing so, to create fear and anger in our state. When we know that there's issues every single day that are impacting people, whether that is, the number one unaffordability in our state right now. We have a good percentage, a highest percentage of children that are living below the poverty line. We know that families can't afford rent. They can't afford housing. They can't afford their property taxes, property insurance. And what is happening in Tallahassee to help? Nothing. And I just couldn't sit back and I couldn't watch. And I think that last week with the leak from the Supreme Court, it shows how much more important it is to know who our governor and our legislative leaders are in Tallahassee. Because if we don't have a federal regulation and federal support and federal protections, we have to rely on our states. That is me everything from a woman's right to choose to even just general contraceptives, to unfortunately a gay marriage and gay adoption, Brown v. Board of Education, all of these fundamental principles that we thought was all settled law is up on the chopping block. And it is so important that we as Democrats mobilize and organize and get people registered and then turn them out, because we've always talked about how this is the most important election of our generation or of our lifetime. This one actually is. This is so important that we get this right. And Democrats, I have been in the trenches. I know how to win our state. I know how to bring people together, to energize our base, to talk about the issues that are important to the people of our state. I've got the winning equation, the winning formula, the winning message. I'm out there in the trenches every day, throwing punches against the Republicans and landing them. And we're going to need your support. I'm going to be our best governor because I get it. I've been a public servant my whole life. I didn't need a title next to my name to give back to the people of our state. I've literally been doing this since I was a kid. And I want to serve as our next governor because I see the problems. We have a system that I keep hearing is broken. System isn't broken. The system is working exactly how they've been designed to do so. And we've had 28 straight years of one-party rule of our state. And look what's happened. We're funding education 47th in the nation. 47th. What does that tell our kids? What does that tell the future of our state if we're not willing to invest in them? We haven't invested in our environment. We haven't invested in the people that are out there every single day working, our first responders, our teachers, those in our service industries. That has to end. And I'm telling you that every single day I wake up with one goal in mind, to protect the people of our state. I've been doing it as your commissioner, and I'm going to do it as your next governor. I know how to get into those trenches. I know how to work. I'm running an agency that has 4,600 employees across the state. I was here during the pandemic. I was here to make sure that the people were safe and taken care of, and I will do the same thing as governor. And I just can't thank you enough for giving me an opportunity to speak with you all tonight, but I would be happy to answer any questions that you may have out there.
Thank you, Commissioner. How about on Zoom? I tell you what, if y'all would type in your questions and Chris will read them. And how about anybody here in the room? Do you have a question for Commissioner? Okay, this is Vicki.
Evening, Commissioner. I'm
Good evening, Vicki.
concerned about all this lying bills that have been placed. I'm concerned about the K through 3. I'm a 37-year-old Hillsborough County District employee. I was a union representative, a union president. I've been into many schools, been all over Hillsborough County in the 37 years. Never did I ever witness or see grooming. To me, grooming is the mind. To me, grooming is, helping children, even adults, to understand where we are going and what we need to do in order to groom ourselves to be part of society. But instead, we flipped that message. I want to know, what kind of a message are you going to send to the constituents of this state to let them know that this is a bald-faced lie? And why has no one stepped up and said, even our superintendents have not said, my teachers are not pedophiles and they do not groom students?
Yep. I think that first of all, like, you're absolutely right that, and I want to take a step back. I had a conversation actually in Tampa with a woman. It was probably, about 6 weeks ago. I was at an event, and she works with a lot of children that have been victims of either sex trafficking or of abuse and sexual abuse. And she was so angry and so frustrated because those children, every single time the word pedophilia is being used, is reopening up wounds to these children because they have actually experienced that. And so they've taken this word and they've kind of almost tried to destigmatize it and throw it out there like it is like no big deal. Like, we're just going to say everybody who's gay and all these teachers are all groomers and pedophilias. Like, that is just absolutely ludicrous. And I say this, and I do say it. I say it on the campaign trail. I say it all the time, and I call them out on it. Look, especially when it comes to the LGBTQ plus community, I have been the largest ally since I was 16 years old. My stepbrother came out to me when we were in high school, and I saw what he went through. And this is back again in the 90s. The times have significantly changed, well, we hope. But, in seeing the reactions that he was getting as he was telling friends and family members. And so this is personal to me. And we've got to call out the lies. We've got to call out the corruption. And as I'm traveling the state and talking to the Democrats who are running on this ticket, running for House, Senate, for school board members, for city and county commissioners, I'm helping to train and helping to talk through that messaging, because we've got to be on the same page. We've got to make sure that we're standing up to this. And I don't even know what it is. It's not even misinformation. It is just trying to find people to put blame on. Who are we blaming for what's going on in society? We're going to blame the Blacks. We're going to blame the Jews. We're going to blame the gays. We're going to blame teachers. Instead, they should be looking at themselves in the mirror. They're to blame for so much of the hatred and the rise of racism and homophobia and anti-Semitism. And that is only going to change when we have leaders in the governor's office who is going to shut it down immediately. I mean, look what happened this weekend. We saw Nazi flags being flown outside of Disney World. As somebody, again, from the Jewish faith, this is personal. And the fact of the matter is, where's our governor? Where are the rest of the Republicans, denouncing this? Instead, they're saying maybe it's the Democrats they're dressing up as Nazis. I'm sorry, but anybody who says that is so ignorant of and the emotional connection that it's when you see a Nazi flag. And so we've got to be forceful. We've got to be strong. We've got to stand up for our convictions and make sure that we've got to have somebody who's in the trenches who will do so. And that's what I've been doing on the campaign trail. It's what I've been doing for 3.5 years. It's what I've been fighting on. I remember having this debate in my AP chemistry class, my senior year of high school, when it was just came out with President Clinton had just done Don't Ask, Don't Tell. And I remember sitting in debating this issue. So this is something that I've been fighting on and fighting for my whole life.
We do have a question from the Zoom. Can you clarify the lawsuit with against Biden and marijuana and guns?
Absolutely. And first and foremost, this is something that I have been fighting for also for decades, from my time as a past public defender, seeing the racial injustice when it comes to the cannabis laws. And so many of my police reports that I saw, the odor of cannabis was the first line of the police report, then came the probable cause and people being arrested because of that. And seeing how many of our, Black and brown men are in jail and prisons all across the state and all across the country for cannabis laws. When I announced my video in 2018 to run for Commissioner of Agriculture, my announcement video was talking about the overregulation of cannabis and the underregulation of guns. This has been part of my fight in getting us to legalization across the country. And we have not seen the needle move. And so we have not seen the federal government, even if we had, a complete Democratic House, a Democratic Senate, a president, that we still have not seen the needle move. This is about justice. This is about economic opportunities for minorities who have been not having a seat at the table. And we found a way through my office to try to elevate this conversation. We've been working on this lawsuit for 3.5 years, and something that we were going to file a 1.5 years ago, and unfortunately COVID hit. So we have been working with the Biden administration. We gave them a heads up. We've talked through them. Even as of this week, I've been in conversations with the Department of Justice and didn't sue President Biden. It is against the ATF form. So basically what happens is the ATF form says specifically, if you are addicted to a controlled substance, you have to press yes to this form. They've added an asterisk on there that says, even if your state has a legalization program or a medical program, it is still federally illegal and you have to say yes. So what it's doing is that people in our state have a constitutional right, which I'm sure some of you in this room are exercising to have your medical marijuana card, can no longer go and purchase a firearm. And so what this has done is a lot of medical marijuana users are having to now go, and they're still purchasing the guns. They're now going to the illegal market, going through the loopholes and purchasing it without a background check. This way, this now allows and forces everybody back into the legal marketplace and has everybody having a complete and thorough background check, which will actually create more safety. And on the other flip side of that, you have a lot of veterans who have come back, and a lot of people that have come back and have either some type of pain or some type of conditions that refuse to go after a medical marijuana card because they are fearful of losing their rights to bear arms. And so they're having to go to other types of pharmaceutical drugs, which are potentially more dangerous, and are opting to not go through the medical marijuana program. This is about, look, if we are as Democrats going to talk about common sense gun regulations, this is part of that conversation, making sure everybody has a complete and thorough background check, making sure that people are not going to the illegal markets either to purchase their guns or to purchase their cannabis. So again, we're in constant communication with the Biden administration. And my hope is that I will get the administration to work with us, change this form, and this will be a game changer for both President Biden, but also for those involved in the cannabis movement.
Yes, Commissioner, the next question is, will you divest Florida from the Russian investments?
Yes, in fact, I was the first person who brought this up and sent a letter to my colleagues on the Florida cabinet. The governor, the chief financial officer, and the attorney general make up our SBA board. That's our pension board. And I wrote a letter to the three of them before the markets even closed in Russia, asking them to divest, because I saw how fast they moved when they were trying to divest from China and Chinese investments. And they had press conferences and they did all of this hoopla. And so we have been a thorn in the governor's side on this issue, trying to get him to divest. And in fact, in our last cabinet meeting, the administrator from the SBA came up and presented. And I laid in, said, how much money is still there? how much have we lost, what are, and be, transparent. And the governor turned to the cabinet meeting and says, well, we probably lost a lot of money, so we'll wait for the market to jump back. And anyhow, I think it should be the legislature who tells us these types of policy issues. And I said, really? So much so that you did it, last year with China, you didn't need the legislature's permission to do that then. So I am a firm supporter on the divestment. I've been saying it since February. I continue to hammer him on this issue. And at this time, we have lost about $200 million of our pension fund because of this mismanagement and this political game that the governor is playing.
Okay, I have a question from Mike, who's in the room.
Hi, Ms. Freed. Michael Newitt here. How are you? You look great.
Good. How are you? Thank you.
Good. Thank you. I was just wondering, because we're all, you're a hero to so many of us, and we just appreciate everything you're doing. And we would help you however we can. I was wondering, hemp, you know more about hemp than anybody that I've ever heard of. And at the same time, the legislature hasn't helped you much, or they haven't really helped you build anything there that, would be significant. And also the springs are under so much pressure from the water companies like Nestle, and they pay so little, and even the manatees can't find a decent place to live, So I was just wondering what we could do or to help you with those issues that I think probably could be very important.
Absolutely. And you're right, Michael. I ran on the legalization of hemp in our state because I truly understand what this alternative crop does. First of all, it's an alternative crop to our farmers who have been struggling so much, whether it is, from some of the citrus cankers to some of the other diseases on our citrus industry, to some of the international trade issues that we've been seeing that have been crippling our ag industry, to hurricanes. And so we saw hemp as another alternative to be able to grow. And so our farmers are not having to lose their land. And I know everybody knows that hemp, for CBD production, but that is a fraction of what it could be used for. There's about 20 to 30,000 known usages for the hemp plant. It is going to replace our plastics and you can't really see them, but plastic in our water bottles, to using it as a replacement of our styrofoam. We're seeing it used as concrete, hempcrete instead of concrete. You're seeing it as biofuels, again, as another option for us to get off of our foreign, dependence on oil. Getting it all here cleans up our waterways. We're just talking about the manatees, growing hemp on some of our waters, by Lake Okeechobee and our springs, and in even, mosaic lands, which we can all have a whole nother segment about mosaic, and cleaning up some of the forever chemicals that's here, and be able to capture that, clean up the land, clean up the water, all biodegradable, better for the environment. And you're right, the legislature basically came in and said, we are going to give you as bare minimum of an opportunity to create this hemp industry, but we did it. And now we're actually nationally renowned as one of the, if not the best hemp industry in the entire country. I have commissioners of agriculture calling me, asking me how to kind of replicate and what are the things that we are seeing. And what this has done is really sparked so many entrepreneurs in our state. Again, 12,000 jobs. There are stores opening up everywhere. Entrepreneurs are being creative. But the next part of all this is the industrial side. That is where the real money comes from. And so I would love, a pilot projects and money from the legislature to go to our colleges and our universities, or those that can apply for grant dollars, to be starting to invest in the industrial production. Because once we do the industrial side, it is a game changer. I keep comparing it to the printing press, because that's how innovative that it can be. And the same thing on our waterways. We've been trying to do everything we can inside the Department of Agriculture to live up to this, what people voted me for, to clean up our waters. So we did everything we could as far as inside Department of Agriculture, updating our best management protocols, really doing a heck of a job, keeping agriculture held accountable. I say this statistic all the time, but before I got into office, we enroll agriculture and then we send them over to DEP for enforcement. Before I came into office, there was 0 cases that were sent over to DEP for enforcement. Since taking office, close to 7,000. But we've been asking for the last couple of years, the legislature to give me more money for more positions inside of our water policy arena so that we can have more boots on the ground, more cost share programs, so that we can work on better irrigation, better monitoring systems that some of our smaller farmers just can't afford. The big guys are fine. It's the smaller and mid-sized farms that don't have the resources, and especially some of our minority farmers that are struggling. There's a lot of minority farmers that don't even have irrigation systems. They're going back to the day when they're counting on the rain to do that. So there's a lot of things that if we just put the resources into, we can fix a lot of our issues. But unfortunately, time and time again, the legislature has not given me the positions I need, not given me the resources for the cost share programs, and certainly has not given me the authorization and the ability to actually enforce a lot of the laws and the rules that are on the books.
I was wondering, should you become governor, you're probably going to have a Republican legislature. How would you expand Medicare, given that they have to pass the
Medicaid?
law? Medicaid, yes,
Yep.
sorry.
Medicaid expansion.
Yeah.
Look, it's the #1 priority. We know how many Floridians are suffering in our state and are underinsured and unassured. And so this is something that has to happen. And so this is how you do it. You roll up your sleeves and you get to work. I would probably imagine that a good 75 to 85% of our legislators have no idea what Medicaid expansion means, have no idea what that does to our budget, how it saves money, what kind of strings are attached. They don't know, they don't understand. And so it is doing an education. It is going county by county, having roundtables, especially in rural communities and in red areas, letting the people in the community come learn about the benefits that can happen when we expand, hear their own stories, and invite those Republican legislators. They look, I want to do this together. These are your constituents that are hurting, that don't have health care, that are really hurting even the economic well-being of our state because they're using emergency rooms and they're not doing preventative care. There's so many things that we could be doing, but if we're not talking about it and we're not even working on it, then it can't happen. So #1 priority, getting in there, talking and having these roundtables all across our state and letting these Republican legislators hear directly from their constituents of how much help that it actually can benefit them. And we work with them. And I would imagine that we'll be changing hearts and minds when we, as I keep saying, when you want to kill a snake, you cut off the head. Well, that's what we got to do with DeSantis.
Hi, Nikki. I'm another Michael.
Hi, Michael.
Yeah. I'm confused over a certain thing about how much power can you initiate as governor to get these things done if the legislature continues the way that it has. We might be able to get a few more Democrats in, but that's not going to change the overall.
Right.
How, it's a hard thing. How can you as governor work around that?
Yep. Couple of things that I'm gonna have to run after this question. I apologize for that. So a lot actually. First and foremost, you got a veto pen. And as long as we do our part and make sure that they don't get that veto proof, that we make sure that we maintain it, that they can't override my vetoes. So one, that is a very powerful source, a very powerful tool that I will have no problem using. Second, same thing with the budget. Those line items and crossing through their budgetary priorities is another big thing. The third thing, I get to call special sessions. So those part-time legislators become full-time legislators. If they don't want to work with us, then they're going to stay in Tallahassee. They're going to be there all the time until they figure out that they're missing their families, they're going to lose their jobs, and so they have to come to the table. The next thing is that we also already know that there's so many lawsuits that have already spun up from this past legislative session, and including last legislative session. And the power of the governor's office, which is what I did as commissioner, to not support any appeals or depending on if we are on the other side to support the appeals. But the governor's office has a significant amount of power, of resources, of how they're dealing with these lawsuits. And when I was commissioner, I did the same thing. I came in and I sat down with my general counsel and I said, okay, what lawsuits are we engaged in? What are the issues? And there was one lawsuit that was from our local governments that had been suing the governor, the attorney general, the commissioner of agriculture, and the legislature when it comes to gun preemption laws. And they had put in 2011 a law that says, in fact, that if you, in fact, as a local government, pass anything that's more restrictive than that at the state level, then you can be personally sued, which is absolutely nothing of any type of legal reasons that you can get personally. So that's not part of government and how anything else works. And so they had sued and we won in the lower courts. And I turned to my general counsel and said, well, I don't want to be part of the appeal. I agree with the plaintiffs. And so when the time came where the governor, because we won in the lower courts, when the governor attorney general appealed the case, I called up Attorney General Moody and I said, take me off the appeal. I do not want to be part of this. And so now I am with the plaintiffs on this case. And so much so that because of my positioning on the case, when we unfortunately lost in the appellate court, I was able to petition to the Supreme Court to hear the case, and oral arguments on that case is June 9th. So again, when you understand all the moving parts and understand your power and your willingness to exercise it, a lot can be accomplished.
I thank you so much for coming and talking to us. It's more of a one-on-one. I mean, we've all heard you speak, but we've not had the opportunity to actually ask you questions and get the answers. And I know we have a lot more questions for you.
Welcome
I
back.
mean, we've got homelessness and insurance rates and all that stuff. But I know that you will do a good job if you're elected as governor, and I wish you all the best and hope to see you at other meetings. So if we can give her a big round of applause.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. And I look forward to seeing you all soon. And I did want to I saw one question that I'll answer really quickly from Jennifer Moore. Your department has turned down many weapons permits, right? Yes. So two things. One is that we've suspended about 34, 35 licenses of those that were involved with the insurrection. So any of those that have been arrested or charged, we have suspended. And two, just this year alone, we have turned down 7,000 concealed carry permit holders because of background checks. And unfortunately, if the governor gets his way on an open carry, those 7,000 people would be able to openly carry in our state. So very dangerous, very dangerous.
Scary.
Which is why we got to vote and we got to mobilize, because this is not who we are as Floridians. And we got to change this. This is taking our state into, I don't even know what direction, but not one that we want to live in. So thank you for all that you do, and we're counting on you. So have a great night, everyone.
You. Thank you. Okay, so sorry to kind of change the agenda around a little bit, but I'm sure that was well received from Nikki Fried. So now we're going to start our meeting. And we're going to start with Emmett, who is going to lead us in the pledge. To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. I'm going to ask that you all keep our newest board member, Trish, in your Patricia Williams, I'm sorry, in your thoughts and prayers and whatever you do. She's lost her sister. She's over in the islands. She's the one that brings in our speakers, and she's starting out doing a great job with Ms. Fried and Amy, you're going to hear in a minute. So please just give her a moment of your thoughts, and also remember Gifford Allison. He is still struggling, and hopefully we'll see him back here soon. Thank you. Board of Directors, board of directors do an awful lot to make this club work. We have our publicity chair, Mary Shepherd, who has been putting this in the paper, our picnics in the paper. I saw it go out. Gifford and Gloria work on the membership, and Vicky's been doing a great job at helping out with that. I appreciate it very much, Vicky. Emmett, Emmett, who is our sergeant of arms, introduces me as the prettiest lady in the whole Democratic process. But, you know, I already told you about Patricia Williams. She's our newest. She's our program chair. Assistant treasurer, Susan Rattledge. She's here tonight. Thank you, Susan, for all you do. And then we have our treasurer, which is Walt Seeley. And he is going to tell you in a moment how much money we have in the bank and how much money I can spend. Secretary Janet Mullen, Vice President Chris Rattledge, and then I am Donnelly Four. I wish that more people would come to our meetings. We have a great turnout, but I would love to see it so that we're kind of bouncing right out the door. Mark Nash just walked in the door too. That's different. Welcome, Mark. So, our guest speaker tonight, and let me go get her bio. Maybe I can read this one without stuttering, you know, but Amy Winthrop is a seasoned award-winning organizer who has worked most of her adult life identifying, educating, and activating citizens towards social justice. She is heavily involved with the League of Women Voters in St. Pete, Pinellas now, and the statewide Floridians for Productive Freedom Coalition. That's a lot of words. Amy was a key leader of the Women's March in St. Pete in 2017. She saw more than 20,000 people gather to advance women's issues, the largest public protest in St. Pete history. Prior to moving to Florida in 2015, Amy lived in her home in West Virginia, where she led efforts within organizations such as West Virginia Focus, Reproductive, Education, and Equality. Really? Wow. Covenant House of the West Virginia and Planned Parenthood. Amy lives in St. Petersburg with her husband and 3 felines, animals, cats. Okay, I was thinking, is this about girls? And they also have 2 children in college. So let's give a warm welcome to Amy Winthrop.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Hello, everyone. Okay, I don't know. How am I going to hold my notes? I'm going to have to put them down here. And the microphone. Okay. Well, I bring you greetings from the South St. Pete Democratic Club, where I'm an active member. I'm also the committee woman for Precinct 202 in Pinellas County. And I'm an active participant in the DEC there. And I just want to remind everyone that as Democrats, we uphold the party platform. And when it comes to reproductive rights, it's very, very clear. And I'm just going to read it to you because it's so, I don't know, it's sort of uplifting to someone like me who works in the movement, the repro abortion rights movement every day. This is the National Democratic Platform. We believe unequivocally, like the majority of Americans, that every woman should have access to quality reproductive health care services, including safe and legal abortion, regardless of where she lives, how much money she makes, or how she is insured. So it's very, very clear that as Democrats, we believe in reproductive freedom. But sadly, here in Florida, we do not have a lot of say-so in the legislature. And so we saw this last session, this awful abortion ban put into effect and signed by the governor. It will go in, become law on July 1st, and it bans all abortions past the 15th week of pregnancy. Now, you all know that by and large, something like 90% of all pregnancies, of all abortions happen well before that. But for those people who need that health care at the 15-week mark and further, they really need it. You all know that, I'm sure many of you know that amniocentesis, which is the fetal test that happens, that to detect most birth defects, it cannot happen before 15 weeks. It usually happens at week 16 or later. And so for people who find out that there is a problematic diagnosis As of July 1st, they're going to have to go to another state. The other thing that we've recently had is the 2015 bill that passed the legislature and was signed, which required a 24-hour waiting period between the time a person saw a doctor who was going to perform an abortion and the actual procedure. So that means 2 visits to a center, and which adds expense and adds time, and it's unnecessary. It's medically unnecessary for this outpatient procedure. And you all know that here in the Tampa Bay area, it may not seem like that big of a deal to have to go to a doctor twice, but if you don't have a car and you have to take 3 buses to get to where you're going, and you don't have someone who's going to care for your kids, and you got to figure that out, and you're going to have to miss a day's work, and you're making an hourly wage, it's a significant problem. But, and also imagine if you don't live in Hillsborough County, but you live in Pasco County, Northern Pasco, where there are no providers, Citrus, where there are no abortion providers. You're having to get to Hillsborough County to get that care, not one day, but 2 in a row. And so this is a barrier. This was done with intent back in 2015 when it passed. Of course, Planned Parenthood, no, it wasn't Planned Parenthood. It was Bread and Roses, independent abortion provider in Gainesville. They filed suit against the state for this bill. It's been litigated since then. And just last month, it was finally decided by a conservative judge that this bill should be law, and it has gone into effect. So we've had 2 blows at the state level. Now here, you all have heard, I mean, Nikki Fried touched on it. I know you all have been reading, because everyone's been reading and talking about it. This leak from the Supreme Court. Looks like we are going to see the overturning of Roe v. Wade, which has been settled law for multiple generations. And that is going to mean that the 15-week abortion ban that the Florida legislature just passed, which is modeled on the Mississippi law that the Supreme Court is currently considering, will be allowed to stand. So even though I suspect our colleagues at Planned Parenthood and the ACLU will still file suit, it is very, very unlikely that the courts will decide in our favor, considering that the Supreme Court is going to overthrow Roe. Yes.
I wanted to ask you that procedure that you had mentioned, that amniocentesis. I'm sorry, I kind of butchered it. Is that a pretty common procedure?
Amnio is common for anyone who has sort of a suspect pregnancy. So anybody whose pregnancy is at all at risk, if they have some kind of genetic disposition in their family history, if it's somebody who has an older pregnancy, any probably first-time moms over 30, first-time pregnant people, I shouldn't have said mom, sorry, first-time pregnant people over 30, then those people would have amnio. It's not uncommon. It's not uncommon. It is never done before 15 weeks. Yeah. So what can we do? Well, first up, there is a big rally this coming Saturday at 11 a.m. in downtown Tampa at Joe Chalura. You say Chalura? Joe Chalura Courthouse Square. And that getting good turnout at that is important, because there are solidarity marches happening across the nation, and to show that people here in Tampa Bay are in opposition is a good thing. And I actually would recommend your club to potentially have a table there to recruit Democrats who will be there, and recruit them to come to your club, because this is a great way for people to live out their principles, is through participation at the Democratic Club level. I know it's one of the ways that I do. And perhaps even the whole, all the clubs in the whole county could have a tent at the event and recruit people, sign up, get the message out, do voter registration, all of the amazing things that Democrats do. So it's just something to consider. I wanted to mention that I'm going to be talking about several different resources, and I'm just going to put these on tables and you all can share it. Everything I talk about, including the details of this Saturday's event, and if you can maybe take a picture and pass it on if you're interested, are available at this one website. I just created it today for you all. So if you want to visit and you want to say, well, what's the link to the event, or what did she talk about? You can go to this one website and get it. And for people in chat, maybe someone can type it into the chat for you all. Sorry, I didn't realize that so many people will be on Zoom, which is great, by the way. But anyway, if you're interested in the reproductive rights movement, joining our newsletter, I actually edit the statewide newsletter. It comes out every Friday morning. There's a link on that link tree that you can sign up for it and get it in your box. And it keeps you apprised of the events that are happening, action alerts that you can participate in, important news stories, jobs that are open in our movement, all of that sort of thing. Also on your social media threads, and I'm sure many of you are on Facebook, Twitter, etc. Your club has an account. Help us get out the word by amplifying our posts that we put that FRF, our coalition, posts, but also Planned Parenthood and other partners. Amplify it by sharing that stuff. We've got to get out the word. I was talking to some folks earlier today, right before the meeting. Abortion is just normal health care. We need to destigmatize it and not get this out of people's heads. It's something that's shameful. 1 in 4 American women will have an abortion during their childbearing years. 1 in 4. It is a normal healthcare procedure or medication that is needed by many, many people. And so anything we can do to talk about it and to make it normal is for the benefit of all. And also, of course, writing letters to the editor, putting things on your blog, all of that kind of thing is really, really important to make sure that people know that it's just normal. Some other unofficial things that I'm hearing are going to be happening. I do know for sure there's going to be a big bus tour across the 5th Circuit, the federal circuit, from Texas to Jackson, Mississippi, ending in a huge rally on June 17th. And we would like folks, if you can get to Jackson, get there. But if you can't, then let's make that a day of solidarity here in Florida and amplify it on social media. I know a lot of activist groups will be doing banner drops across, overpasses down over the interstate. Consider maybe your club would be willing to do an overpass in this part of Hillsborough County, dropping a banner. That is June 17th. The day of the Supreme Court decision, and we don't know when it's going to drop. We want within 24 hours, folks out in the streets in Tampa, in St. Pete, and all around. And then there undoubtedly will be other actions right after that. They're saying 3 days after and then 7 days after. So this is the time that we need to stand up and say no, we're not going to take this. And the ultimate goal is to activate the electorate and change voter behavior for the coming fall August primary and November election, November general. And so this is an opportunity for us to take the rage and the angst that people are experiencing because of the Supreme Court and activate them to vote correctly. So taking part in these actions is important. Increasing the members of the Supreme Court, is that something that our movement is interested in, was the question. And I would say that that because President Biden has not voiced interest in that since coming into office, that is not something that we are really pushing for, I would say. I haven't heard. I don't know if that's the case. I just haven't heard rumors or any talk about that. I will tell you, to end on a positive note, because I know I'm about out of time, there are some amazing things happening that allow me to sleep at night. And otherwise I'd just be, yeah. Yes. And it's not drugs. It's not medical marijuana. It is the fact that I know that our healthcare providers here in Florida are already doing amazingly creative things to make sure that patients get the care that they need. And for example, Stephanie Frame, who is the president and CEO of Planned Parenthood of this affiliate here, an amazing person. She talks about how the networks that they're building across state lines with other abortion providers and healthcare providers, the networks they're building are unprecedented in the history of the United States. And they are raising money already, and not just Planned Parenthood, but the independent providers and the Tampa Bay Abortion Fund are raising money now to get ready so that Floridians who need that care, no matter what law is passed, will be able to get it. They're even talking about a medical ship that would go off the east coast of Florida, and patients would be ferried out there into international waters so that they could get the care they need. So there's all kinds of creative thinking happening.
Such federal land, such as the base, is that a possibility?
The federal land, and so the Army bases, Air Force bases are certainly that. And it is going to be interesting to see how President Biden responds and if he would allow it. The one that I've also heard are native lands, Native American lands. Now, the one thing, the Native American population has been subjected to so much oppression and discrimination. It would be unfair to count on them at this point to offer us, relief. But Hard Rock Casino, like they could open an abortion clinic and yeah. Look, if it's, at the Hard Rock Casino. Yeah. It's this kind of, we've got to take all the creative thought we can get. But I do want to mention the other thing that really gives me solace is self-managed abortion, the abortion pills. We will never, ever go back to, coat hangers and back alleys, because of science and technology have brought us this amazing medication. Now they're trying to limit how we can get it. But the fact is, international medical practices and pharmacies are fully committed to getting these drugs to Americans. And it's really impossible to intercept. I know many, many people order drugs of all kinds from international pharmacies. And this will be the way that this is the way people already are accessing abortion care. Not only, there's my timer, I'm up, I know I'm done. But I will say that, people in Florida, where we already can get, we can get abortions at local providers. People in Florida are already accessing it through international sources because it is much less expensive, and they don't have to do 2 trips, and they don't have to leave their home, et cetera, et cetera. So I do see that this is it's not everyone's problem is going to be solved by medication abortion, but the vast majority will be. But we've got to get the word out. And I actually do a training on this, and one's coming up on June 5th. And information's on the link tree. You can check it out. Okay, I'm going to go to him because he hasn't asked a question. Then back to you. Okay. Oh, the people on Zoom.
Hi, Zoom people. So you had mentioned after there's a ruling and it's official that there's kind of a call to maybe hang banners over the interstate overpasses, something like that. Is hanging Michael Newitt over one of those overpasses an acceptable alternative? Okay.
I leave that up to your club to decide. I really don't have a strong recommendation on that.
I just wondered, do you have to push the button?
No, just sit talk.
Just talk. Is that okay?
It's for the Zoom people, not for us.
Oh, I'm sorry. Okay. So I say, let's turn the duck on its ear and think of it from the other point of view. Let's use the alienation of our rights. Let's use this whole point of view that's been very slippery, slipped through all the laws, all the Supreme Court and everything else, and stuck in our ear. Let's use this as a way to get people to vote and to get out and turn off their TV for a little while and go out and say, hey, I'm not going to take this anymore. Where do we live? Is this a dummy republic? Or are we just, is everything just going to be laid on us? Is this no better than Russia or someplace? I mean, I think that as Democrats, sometimes we have a hard time getting people revved up. And maybe we don't, set the building on fire. But I also think that a lot of people right now see this whole catastrophe, and especially the way it's been marketed, as a reason to really get off our chairs.
You know, poll after poll after poll show 7 out of 10 Americans and Floridians believe that Roe v. Wade should stand, that abortion should be available with very few or no restrictions. And yet we're still being oppressed by the Supreme Court. And so therefore, I totally agree. And if we don't grab this opportunity, then we're really, really making a mistake. This is a chance we have to reach people who haven't been upset yet for what, are they not paying attention? But they're not voting correctly. We know that. This is a chance. And I think that it's going to be in the news cycle for the rest of the summer, at least through July. And so let's grab it and let's put our best communications to work to pull these people into our belief system. I don't, I'm sorry. The banners though, for the banner drop, I mean, my hope is that they'll be handmade. So it'll look like a grassroots effort, you know, on old sheets, painting, abortion is healthcare, 1 in 4 women. There are a lot of overpasses.
Well, I think this situation is the same as everything for Democrats. We don't get the message out correctly. The Republicans just say they're killing babies. And so they get emotionally stigmatized, and we don't. We try to do nicely. We try to give the facts, and facts for some reason don't matter anymore.
Yeah. One of the things that we have found testing wise, I mean, I work for a communications outfit. Progress Florida is primarily a communications firm organization, but we say start with our values, start with a value statement, because that's what will win the hearts of people. And so saying something like, once someone has decided to have an abortion, they should be able to access that care without stigma and without harassment. I mean, most people would agree with that, because we're not talking about the decision. We're talking about once they've decided, you know. And so there's a lot of good stuff, a lot of good studies of people's opinions and that sort of thing, that if we were to use the right messaging, I think we could take a page out of the Republicans' notebook and really put it to use. But we haven't done a great job with it. Yeah. All right. It's
And women need to write their stories. If they have a story about it, I have a story. 1918. My mother's mother. You know, we're going back some generations here. 7 kids during the Depression. I mean, a lot of things were happening. Her husband was gone, always trying to make an income. Found out she was pregnant, didn't need another child. I mean, I find that a reality. So what does she have right to? Having another child or going for an illegal abortion? She chose the latter, and she paid her life for it. And all of her kids ended up being separated. And we're talking 1918, you know, and then unfortunately my mother's mother ended up with her 6th pregnancy, didn't need another child, went to go to Minnesota out of Wisconsin and got there, and the doctor had a heart attack. So I have a wonderful uncle. So there's 2 sides to every story. What you don't know, you will never know, you know. So it's our right, your privilege. Nobody else has the right to tell me any differently. And I'm not childbearing age, so, but I was, and I fought for it in 1972. So is that telling my age, Emmett?
Telling those personal stories is a way of destigmatizing abortion. And just along that line, you know, like 1 in 4 people have a personal story to tell. 1 in 4 American women have a personal story to tell. Other people have been impacted, whether it was your mom, your grandma, your daughter, your neighbor, your spouse. And that is what we can do, is we can share our stories. It's an important piece of this work. And by the way, guess who else has abortions besides Democrats? Republicans. Republicans need abortions too. And this is one issue that, even though you wouldn't believe it by listening to the Republican, you know, at the convention, the Republican women, this is one area we can pull them over on. I mean, 7 out of 10 Americans agree. That includes Republicans and definitely no party affiliates. Okay.
So other places in the world, is it 1 in 4 also?
I don't know.
Europe or Asia?
That's a CDC statistic. I don't know about internationally. They have better birth control in Europe, so I would be surprised if it was that high. But it could be.
Let's give Amy a big round of applause. Thank you so much. This is one that's very dear to my heart, as many of the other women in this room. I would like to do something as a club on June 17th. So if you've got ideas, even if it's standing on a street corner and letting people know what we're doing, what we are about, this is, like I said, this is personal to me. And I've been crying since the Supreme Court leaked, and I don't want to see this happen. So let's let our voices be heard. With that, I'm going to go quickly through the meeting, and then we're going to hear from a candidate. The treasurer's report, Walt, let me run back there real quick. Wait.
I forgot the mic. We have $2,791 in the bank
For now.
for now.
I'm spending. I am spending. Okay. And our secretarial report went out in the email. Does anybody have any objections to the secretarial report? Seeing none, then I think that it passed during the board meeting and everything's fine. 4th of July parade. We need candy. We need volunteers. We need walkers. We need riders, because we have a trolley, an open air trolley. And we're excited about that. I checked on it today. Everything is a go for the 4th of July parade. So just get candy, hard candy, not something that will melt, and be ready for that. Our picnic is coming up in May 21st. It's Saturday, 11 o'clock at Paul Sanders playground. It's always at the same place, and we'll be having free hamburgers, free hot dogs. We have an awesome cook who comes every year. And so please invite your neighbors, invite your friends, invite your family. There's a playground there to for the kids to play on. Bring a covered dish, just bring something to share, or bring potato chips or whatever you want to bring. Bring the what? Oh, the raffles. Yeah, we're going to bring some raffle gifts. We do need to raise money because I've spent it on the 4th of July parade, and Walt is very upset with me for spending the money. So bring money. Huh? How much? Just bring lots of money, Mike. How much? Just bring it. Just bring it. Lots of pocketfuls, because the trolley is not cheap. And yeah. Well, yeah, I'll take whatever you have in your pockets right now. I like you. You are going to be on the board next year. So bring a dish, bring your kids, just come. It's always a lot of fun. It's great to be with other, like-minded people. Thank you, Mary. And bring a raffle gift if you want to raffle something off, because I'm spending the money too fast. So without further ado, we do have a candidate in the room, and I would like to invite him up here to introduce. He's been here a couple of times before, but he is running for Congress. I don't know why anybody would want to be in Congress right now, but you're brave. So Eddie, take it away.
Thank you. Thank you so much for having me. I appreciate that. Maybe there is something not quite right with me that I would want to run for Congress, but I was thinking, and again, I'm Eddie Geller. I'm running for Congress here in the 15th district, and the new lines that have been passed, now the 15th district includes Brandon, also Lutz, Temple Terrace, goes up into Zephyr Hills, and then over into Lakeland. Oh yeah. I believe it has. I don't want to, they're so new and we're still memorizing, but yeah, from the lines that have passed the legislature, it did. I know the southern border, moved down. But I happy to follow up with you. But I was just thinking about, kind of what Amy was talking about, and thank you so much for all your advocacy and your work, and hearing you talk about the solace you feel. And I think that it's so important, because there are technological advances. There's people fighting the good fight. I don't feel solace. I don't sleep well at night. I'm really angry. We are, I mean, we are in this country where they're gonna overturn Roe at a time when people can't afford health care. We have housing crisis. We have a student debt crisis. We have so many things going wrong, and these are their priorities. It's unreal. And so deciding to run for Congress, and I haven't even talked about, and I won't take up too much time, but you're so kind. But I jumped into this race after January 6th and seeing the current representative of the 15th, Scott Franklin, vote to decertify the election and embrace the big lie. Completely disgusting and destabilizing in our democracy. And so we could not be headed further in the wrong direction from the Republican side. And, like I said, we have so many things that we need to fix. So I decided to jump into this race after January 6th. I know some of you have heard from me. Some of you have heard from my campaign manager, Derek. I worked at the Democratic National Committee. I worked at Priorities USA, worked with MoveOn.org. So I've been doing activism for the last 10 years. But the thing I also enjoy telling people, I used to be an actor and comedian in Los Angeles. I did that. It is very true. There you go. There you go. So exactly. But the thing I think, Zelensky, the thing I think a lot about as being a comedian, and I think a storyteller, is how Republicans are always winning the messaging war and the storytelling war when we talk about abortion, that they've told this story that abortions are, something we shouldn't talk about or people should be afraid of. And it happens for just myriad issues. So part of our campaign is being creative, figuring out how to beat the Republicans back at these messaging issues, and using creativity to bring new people in. So I launched my campaign with a fun video. It had a jingle parody. You can check it out at eddiegeller.com. It was fun. We need to find creative ways to get new people and young people into this fight with us. But I like to think I'm a fun guy and a nice guy, but I'm not going to play nice when it comes to Republicans who want to roll back our healthcare, who want to take away our rights. I think, to Mike's point, we play nice way too much, and we let them win these battles. And I am sick of it. I am sure all of you are sick of it. So that is why I'm in this race. We've been able to raise over $300,000 so far. Thank you. Thank you. I appreciate it. And just last week, we were very proud to get the endorsement of Sean Shaw for our campaign. So thank you. No, so we are very proud. We've been working very hard, and we're excited to flip this district. If this district existed the way it's drawn now in 2018, Nikki would have won it. Andrew Gillum would have only lost it by a point. So this, well, and in this district, which is to say, the Republicans think they have a layup here. Jackie Toledo is the main sort of Republican. Also, Dennis Ross is in there, but they think they're going to take this. They think, oh, it's a midterm and they're just going to walk away with it. That's not going to happen. We're going to work our butts off. We're going to take the break that we got from redistricting for this district, and we're going to flip this seat, and we're going to put another Democrat in Washington, D.C. and make sure Kevin McCarthy does not become Speaker of the House. Thank you so much. I really appreciate it. Thank you so much for your time. Yes, please. So there are two other Democrats in the race. We have, we've been able to outraise them. I think somewhere in the neighborhood of $300,000. So we're really proud of the structure we built. But yeah, there's a couple other Democrats in the race.
And how many points do you think that this whole abortion will add to the amount of
Well, and I think, it's hard to know, but I think what Amy was talking about is people are fired up. I think it's a reminder of the stakes and a reminder of what Republicans want to do with their power if they are able to get it back. I mean, to be honest, I couldn't say. I know. Well, we haven't, because these, the lines are new and we haven't done a poll yet. So I don't want to speak out of turn, but certainly people are fired up, and it's heartbreaking that something like this is necessary for people to be fired up and remember what the stakes are. But we gotta fight our butts off, because this is dire stuff. Yeah.
With a huge Jewish rally for abortion access on the steps of the Capitol with about 9 or 10.
So the primary is August 23rd. So we have, it's unfortunate. It's a very fast turnaround between the primary into the general election. So that's why we are certainly working hard to, raise the funds and do the work. So we are ready to go, after, as soon as we win the primary, to go on and take on the Republican in the general. Oh, thank you. I really appreciate that. Well, it's been I haven't, I mostly am. Yeah. Oh, yeah. No, thank you. The question was whether I'm seeing more women at rallies, and I was at a rally, a couple days after in downtown Tampa, and certainly there were a lot of women there who were fired up, and so it's still a short amount of time. Certainly, this is an issue that really affects the people who have a uterus and can give birth, but I think it affects all of us. I mean, this is a human rights issue as well, and an economic issue. So. I think there is amped up energy, but I think hopefully it's also, it's all genders. All right.
Well, thank you, Eddie.
Thank you so much.
And I want to make sure you know that you can walk in the parade, or your people can walk in the parade with us for free. You're allowed. And Jan, did you want to say a few words about your campaign?
Thank you. If I'm with you, my phone for some reason is saying it's in safe driving mode, but I thought I was sitting in my living room. Anyway, yes, I do. As you all know, our delightful governor has really messed up the congressional districts for Democrats. Some of you guys are in the new 16. It's red plus 9. The new 17 is something like red plus 18. But what I want to assure your group is what we can do in these two congressional districts is possibly swing the governor's race, or swing half of the governor's race. And that in and of itself, regardless of where this final district line is, and I think it will be the DeSantis district, is absolutely worth doing. In my campaign, the data shows when I run, I get out upwards of 10,000 progressives who don't even otherwise bother to vote around here. Now, if we have a Freed or a Tadeo or a Chris versus DeSantis race, it may still be very close, and that could be a third of the margin. So I'm asking for your help and your support. I'm not making the usual, oh, we're going to win speech. I hope we can. A lot is changing, but Governor DeSantis has really messed up. And even when you think this is May, we don't know where we're running exactly. It's horrible. But as you all know, I love your club. I will be there in person next time. And thank you a lot, Donna. I would also very much appreciate individual input if anybody would call me on this District 16, District 17 difference. For those of you who don't know, the division now is Manatee is in 16 with part of Hillsborough. Sarasota is in 17 with all of Charlotte County and part of Lee County on DeSantis's map. Vern Buchanan lives in the new 17, but he's running in 16, which the Constitution allows. It's a very difficult choice, and I want people's input on where I can do the most good. We got to be team players, and we've got to help get rid of DeSantis, who I personally think is a worse threat to this country right now than Trump. Anyway, thank you, Donna, and I want to talk to you too. I'll call you.
Thank you, Jan, and thank you for your hard work and running again. You're a brave woman. And I hope that you're going to come over to our picnic and come and walk in the parade 4th of July. Is there any other announcements?
Absolutely, as to both, Donna. Even if I'm not running, I never miss vote. It's just kind of discouraging. By the way, Donna, if anybody knows somebody who will run in the other congressional district, we don't have a candidate beside me in either right now.
I thought she was done. I just want to say on our website, easthillsboroughdems.org, on the link page, there's a link to each candidate's page that I could find on the web. Some of them don't apparently have websites or Facebook pages. I can't swear it's every candidate. It's all the ones I could find by using various resources. So if you need to know more information on them, you can go there and look at the different candidates.
Thank you, Chris. Chris does an awful lot on our emails, our web page, our Facebook page. I mean, he keeps us up to date. Thank you so much. See, they're applauding you, Chris. Yes. And I want to thank everyone who brought the food in for Echo. Echo is in dire, truly dire need. I know the people over there, and they come to a lot of meetings that I come to, and they're talking about 300 to 400 meals each time somebody shows up. They need food badly. So if you didn't bring it tonight, stop by there and drop off, some extra food for them, because they do need it. And I think this Saturday Echo is having a mail drive. Check their website or their Facebook page. They need help, volunteers, to sort that food, and all the cans in different locations so that they can stock it on the shelf. So because they're going to apparently people are going to put stuff out in by their mailbox, and then they come by and pick it up, and they have to have that sorted. So Mr. Nash, I'm sure you have something to say. Wait. Zoom people don't know what you're saying. Yes, they should be here. I agree with you, but they are.
So my question was, when do we know when the dates are locked in place? When are we at the point of no return?
We're going to adjourn. That's not going to work.
Oh, it's working now?
Yeah, the batteries died.
Oh, batteries died. So we're going to go ahead and adjourn. Oh, that's right. Thank you. Thank you. Tomorrow night, a candidates meet and greet at Glory Days. Huh? Yes, at Glory Days in Brandon. I think it's 6 o'clock. Yeah. Yeah, several of our candidates will be there. So hope to be there. And we are going to adjourn this meeting. Everyone have a good night. See you at the picnic. Okay. Or else.